Welcome to the Daily Market Brief. All right, let's talk oil. You've seen the prices going wild, right? Well, today we're going to dig deep into what's really going on. Because all that volatility, it's not random, there's a hidden logic, and we're about to crack it open. Let's get into it. So what is going on? Why is there so much chaos in the oil markets? You see these price spikes, the sudden drops, it feels totally random. But I'm telling you, it's not. There's a method to the madness, a hidden logic. And today, we're going to find out exactly what's pulling the strings. And here's the key, the one thing you really need to get your head around. This isn't about war or peace. It's not that black and white. The real issue, the thing that's actually driving the market, is this idea of permanent tension. It's a carefully managed state of almost conflict. And that brings us to something that sounds, well, like a total paradox. The big players in this game, their actions seem to completely contradict the idea of finding peace or stability. It's a super counterintuitive strategy, so let's unpack it. Okay, so here's the backstory, and it's a bit of a head-scratcher. U.S. and Israeli forces went in and, well, they took out some of the more moderate leaders in Iran. Now, you'd think that would, help things along, right? Wrong! The exact opposite happened. It ended up massively empowering the most radical faction there, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And the result of that? Boom! Peace talks are completely off the table, stalled.
And see, this is the paradox in a nutshell. Officially, everyone's saying the same thing. We want peace, we want stability. But if you look at what's actually happening on the ground, the actions being taken are doing the exact opposite. They are literally pouring fuel on the fire, creating the tension that makes peace impossible.
So it makes you wonder, right? If peace isn't the real goal, then what is? And that's where we get to the heart of it. We've got to follow the money, or in this case, follow the power. Let's look at who really benefits from all this chaos. All right, motive number one, that radical faction in the Revolutionary Guard we mentioned. Look, for these guys, peace is the enemy. It's a threat to their power, their influence, their whole reason for existing. But this state of permanent tension, that's their sweet spot. It keeps them in charge. They can threaten to shut down the Strait of Hormuz, which sends oil prices soaring and keeps things unpredictable. Chaos is good for business. But wait, it's not just them. Let's look at the U.S. and Israel. For them, this situation has some pretty big upsides too. First, high oil prices. That means record profits for U.S. energy companies. Ka-ching! And second, all this instability, it really hurts the economy of their biggest global competitor, China. So when you put it all together, you can see why there's no big rush to make a peace deal. A deal that would calm everything down would mostly just help their rivals. But here's the twist. This whole balancing act, this carefully managed tension, it can't go on forever. Why? Because there's a real physical deadline looming. A ticking clock is about to go off, and it could force everyone's hand. We're talking about the 15-day storage crisis. And the numbers here are pretty stark. We're talking 10 to 15 days. That's it. That's all the storage capacity Iran has left for its oil. Think about it. Because of sanctions, they're pumping all this crude out of the ground, but they can't sell it, so it's just piling up. And they're about to run out of room, completely. So what happens when the tanks are full? Well, this is where it gets really serious. They have to stop pumping. They'll be forced to shut down their wells. And you can't just flip a switch on an oil well. It's not like a light. A forced shutdown like this can cause permanent, irreversible damage. We're talking about a potential loss of 20, maybe even 50% of their entire oil production capacity. Forever. That's a catastrophic blow. Okay, so as this whole crisis is coming to a head, the ripple effects are starting to spread out across the world, and they're popping up in places you would never expect, which leads us to our final part of the story. And it's a weird one. Are you ready for? The Hormuz baby boom? This whole thing is just a perfect reminder of the butterfly effect. What happens in one tiny part of the world, like the Strait of Hormuz, doesn't just stay there. The ripples spread everywhere. And, as you're about to see, sometimes those ripples are, well, really, really weird. And here it is, folks. Because of all the shipping chaos and the crazy high insurance costs from this tension, the world's main manufacturer of condoms just announced they're jacking up prices by 30%, a massive 30%. So yeah, a geopolitical fight over oil is now hitting people's wallets in a very different market. So, we'll just leave you with this thought to chew on. We've connected global politics, military moves, and the oil market. But could this whole strategy of permanent tension end up causing, for lack of a better term, a baby boom of Hormuz?
It sounds funny, but it's a wild reminder of how these huge global power games can show up in the most personal parts of our lives. Something to think about, right?